Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's Monday evening. It's a practice session for the upcoming Tegiwa. Is that what we said, Tom? Tegiwa? BMW M8 GTE Championship. As I said, it's a practice session today, just so we are effectively ready for Wednesday. So we do have a 10-minute race at the end of this one, but the majority of the session is going to be practice. You're joined by myself, James Salt, and Tom McMahon alongside me in the commentary box. How are you doing, Tom?
Very well, thank you, sir. I'm looking forward to maybe a little bit more of a chilled out stream and commentary. Just get the viewers up to speed with the drivers who'll be taking part, run through the championship that we've got coming up, and hopefully get familiar with some of the names and who's going to be the winners or potential podium places and who might be towards the back end of the field.
And just to talk, I guess to introduce the championship, BMW M8, fixed setup, I believe it's full fuel as well.
Yes. Yep.
All British tracks, first one Donington.
No.
Is it not? Is there a European one?
Not all British tracks, so we have Donington on Wednesday, then next week we're at a Spa. Following week, Silverstone, then Alton Park, and then Snetterton to round out the championship.
Good stuff.
In terms of format, there's a 60-minute practice session, then it's a 15-minute quali. I'm not sure if that is open or closed, as in the official iRacing races, so that's something we'll find out. And there's at the moment a 40-minute feature race. There were rumours of a reverse grid type race potentially out there, but as the moment it is just one race for each round, 5 rounds, winner takes it all.
Winner takes it all indeed, but at the moment we've got about 15 drivers who have sort of entered the session. Adam Shepherd that we are looking at, he's currently the P1 with a 26.470. Then we've got Connor Sheldon, extremely close behind is Connor Sheldon. Luke, I believe, is the sort of organiser for the league, and then we've got Carl Swift, Rob Baker. And then Mark Burton and Martin Moore in 6 and 7 at the moment. But this is a practice session, so I'm sure we'll see some of the lap times tumble and as the drivers get to grips with the cars and the track. And I think this is, Tom, I think I'm right in saying Tegiwa do sort of organise a championship in real life. But obviously, given the situation, the guys have turned to sim racing, to iRacing. Set up this league, so I'm sure a few of the guys are still getting to grips with the sort of technical sides of sim racing itself and introducing themselves.
I think a lot of guys, I mean, we're fortunate enough on our timing tower behind the scenes that I can see everyone's license, and we do have a rookie in here, so a few D licenses as well. Let me see if I can pull that up for the viewers. There we go.
So Mark Burton is the rookie, just looking. Sorry, Tom.
Yeah, I was just going to say. So you can see that we've got, I think, fairly newcomers to sim racing, not newcomers to racing. I know Rob Baker and Carl Swift. They raced together last time I saw it was in the Civic Cup, I believe. But I may be misquoting there. But you can see a whole host of different iRatings, different license classes, so all kind of getting their feet into sim racing. I know that there's been lots of talk about sim equipment and the racing equipment that everyone uses, and it's a journey, isn't it? It's that was close.
It was close.
It's I mean, we're quite biased in this, but it's a fantastic hobby. Both the community that can be developed and the racing, and I think a quote I remember saying that even though the cars aren't real, the emotions and everything you put into it is. So it is superb.
Yeah, it is indeed, and we've seen a lot of championships turning to iRacing as a really strong platform to organise leagues. Obviously, the driving physics sort of separate thing. It's not real life, but it's certainly, like you just said, Tom. It's considers as a all the passion that you get in real racing. You also get on this. As we're on board with Rob, going into the old hairpin. I mean, encouraging lap times at the top of the tower. At the top 6, all separated by less than a second, close to half a second, in fact. And I know Rob. Would you say again? I'm not too. I know we're kind of Sheldon. We know Connor. He's a more experienced sim racer. Rob with a lot of real life experience, but also a lot of sim experience as well. So I wonder if Rob, with his iRacing, is sort of standing out, isn't it? At 3.4K, surrounded by folks that are, I guess, newer to the sim. So I think Rob's going to be. He's going to be pushing. Oh, he's gone very deep there. There is an apex there, Rob.
Yeah, we know obviously Lewis Bibby. He's going to be racing in the league, I believe. He's currently racing in a separate series. It's great to see that even on a practice session, so you've got 11 drivers put down a time. I believe at the moment there are 22 or 24 entries, so hopefully we'll get a really nice grid on Wednesday night. And those times are really, really encouraging. To see top 6 within half a second. As you mentioned at the beginning, fixed setup, fixed fuel loads, so that's all puts it down to the drivers, and it just keeps it that little bit more simple, doesn't it? Rather than having to worry. That extra thing of setups opens up a whole different ball game. So keep it simple.
And I think the tracks as well. Looking at we've gone through the tracks for the series, and they're going to be familiar to a lot of the drivers.
Absolutely.
Both in sim and out of sims. I'm sure some of the guys, or most of the guys, have probably driven Donington before or are familiar with it, so they don't necessarily have to learn that again. It's laser scanned, isn't it? It's very accurate to what it is in real life. So, like you said, get in the car, run a few laps. That's what we're here for today. And also for us as well, Tom, we want to sort of get to grips with the sort of the streaming technology a little bit more, so we're comfortable for the first race on Wednesday, which is obviously going to be here at Donington. Looking forward to that. As we watch Rob completing a lap. Oh wait, Rob's not putting in the best laps together at the moment. He seems to be really struggling with that car, to be honest, at the moment. He's 4th place. Oh, there we go. Thanks, Rob. As he goes nearly half a second clear.
I suppose it is that thing though of where you want to be competitive with a car. And we say it to all the guys who come and race and join the Evo SR community, that to be competitive in one car, you need to spend time in it. And for example, I know we were running laps in the Z4 GT3 at Interlagos, so a completely different car, less than, 2 hours ago? So there will always be that kind of adjustment time as the drivers get really close on track. And so, yeah, I guess especially for these more inexperienced sim racers, they just need to pound the laps. It's seat time. It's whatever equipment you've got, just run with that, go with that, and spend time learning it, because it isn't real life. If you drive in real life, you're not going to get the same G-forces and sensation you get from that. So it's about learning the feedback that you get from your wheel, how the brakes work, etc. So that would be the main thing for any of the guys if they find that they're struggling with anything. Just do laps and laps and laps, because that's the great thing with sim racing. Once you've got your hardware and you've got your sim and PC set up, you can run as many laps as time allows in the day. There isn't the cost of obviously tyres, potential damage. If you've been in a sim, reset, hit the button, get a new car, out you go again. So hopefully, if anyone is struggling, that's what they'll do in the coming days, just laps and laps and laps and laps.
So we've got about 14 drivers, it looks like. So, I mean, yeah, we do have a race, as we said, at the end of this 10-minute sort of quick blast around the track. It should be good. Obviously, we've got the 40-minute race on Wednesday. Let's talk about the car, Tom, the BMW in the GTE class. No driver aids other than, I think, traction control. Obviously, there's no ABS. It's a stable car from the GTE class. It's certainly competitive. Full fuel is going to make it. I was going to say full fuel is going to make it somewhat heavy. And I don't know, in terms of track temps as well, whether that's going to be an issue. We did see Rob on board with Rob a few laps ago. He was...
so the setup that we've got currently is an 8 a.m. Session. So we've got 27-degree track temp. So obviously and if that's the same for the race, then obviously the track temp will increase as the time of day. So that's what I'm looking at, about a 2-hour session all in. So the track temp will change quite considerably from when they first go out on practice towards the end of the race. I mean, the GT car, those tyres for a 40-minute race, they should hold on fine. I mean, from the endurance races we've done, we occasionally double stint the tyres to great success. So that's something that I don't think they'll have to fight too hard against. But yeah, it's of the GT cars. Traditionally, you'd call it almost the safest. It is, especially on the full fuel fixed setup. It's more towards the understeery side, you would say, because there's obviously the BMW Fixed Series, which is a D-class event, obviously in iRacing. And that's for the newer drivers to the sim, and they don't want a setup that is going to sort of bite their heads off at the moment they look at an Apex. So it is a little bit more understeery. The brakes, I know you're not the biggest fan of the BMW brakes from our Daytona race.
I hate them.
Is that correct?
No, I hate them. I've always described them as like pushing on a plank of wood. Nothing, it's just, there's no feel to them. I've just never really got along with this car. We did the 10-hour at Road Atlanta, the Petit Le Mans. I think that's a Petit Le Mans, isn't it? Road Atlanta. Yep. Did that, and to be honest, that was the best the car's ever felt to me. But other than that, I really do not choose to drive the BMW. Not because it's, I think it's just purely my preference. I do, every time I've raced it, it's okay, and I've really enjoyed it in the 10-hour. But I've just struggled a lot on the brakes in this car. But I know a lot of drivers, they do really rate this car, and they sort of choose it week in, week out. So it's not that it's a bad car in any way. It's just, like I said, it's my personal opinion on the brakes. Absolutely.
I mean, I raced it a lot when it first came out, and obviously the good thing with it being a BMW GT Fixed Series rather than a GTE series, everyone's got the same equipment. So anyone who does find that, I don't know, if the brakes aren't quite to their liking, or they do find it's a little bit understeery, then again, just running those laps, it should.
You can the fixed setup. Are you not allowed to change the brake bias then on board, or is that also?
I can't remember.
Because I know the setup itself is obviously fixed. The sort of aero and stuff like that. But I do wonder whether. I mean, I could get in because I've loaded in as a driver, couldn't I? So
give us a guided tour.
Yeah, I made a bit of an error loading in as a driver rather than a commentator, but it makes no difference really. It's just I've not set a lap time, and there I am, number one. Number one, I am not, but I am ninth, which I'm quite apparently. Oh no, I'm number 9. My apologies.
Car 9. We've still got Bob showing the way. Just something for the viewers, if you are going to be tuning in on Wednesday, as you can see on the top left, you've got the numbers going red. That just signifies that driver is off the track currently. As you can see, Mike demonstrating here out of the last turn. So get it back on. There you go. So that's something to look out for during the race. We'll also have action replays if there is a little break in the action, but I try to keep with the live action as best I can because we don't want to miss anything of that. And then at the end of the race, we can always go back and have a look at some major incidents. There is loads of things that I will try and show you through the cameras and the overlays that you can see. Obviously in the top right you've got the track map, So keep an eye on that as to kind of location or where on track. And I believe that's pretty much everything on the kind of the overlay side to it. Obviously, I might be changing sort of what's the best lap time, what's their last lap time, car numbers, etc. But mainly that's what you're looking for. So if you do see a number in the top left-hand corner go red, they are off the track.
And on off tracks, Tom, there's a limit of 20 for each race. Apparently.
Plenty.
Yeah.
Plenty for that, I would say.
40 minutes round Donington. I know we struggled, didn't we, with the normal 17 limit through last week. Well, I did anyway.
It can be a bit mean. It's quite easy to grab off tracks, and we're going to use Mike as a little demonstration from cockpit cam heading towards turn 1. And you can use a lot of the track on the left-hand side, so Mike could get further over if he wanted to. It's just about learning the ins and outs. After turn 1, you can get an off-track quite easily on the left-hand side there, heading down from Craners towards the Old Hairpin. Again, Old Hairpin is another one where you can really pick up an off-track quite easily on the left-hand side, but Mike keeps it nicely inbound. We've got a car off to the right. Heading up full throttle. Through the left kink with probably a little lift, down into third, I'd imagine. Again, and it's easy to pick up an off track on the left. Not exploring the limits too much, but a nice clean lap so far. Down into third, flick it through. Fight that understeer that definitely was evident. Heading towards the chicane, as it is the GP layout, not the national. And this is one where you can get a slowdown, off track, or just bin the car. It's really, really bumpy. Flip to the left. Nicely done. Heading towards Melbourne hairpin, I believe it is. Downhill, so it's quite easy to snatch a break. But Mike again showing us how it is done. Power out. And final hairpin of Goddard's. Horrible corner, awful corner, worst one on the track. But we're going to safely navigate. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is a lap of Donington. Thank you, Mike, for that very nice lap.
Was that an improvement?
It was his personal best.
It was a personal best. Good on you, Mike. Kev Straw on the chat says, yes, you can alter the brake bias in these cars, which is good, which is interesting. I think, like you said, Tom, though, a lot of it is just getting in the car, and I do think a lot of people adapt to the sort of, the car themselves before you start sort of changing it around. But I certainly tried to do that, and then once you've done a good few laps, try and build the car around you.
Oh, absolutely.
Carl Swift in second, who's actually closed the gap to Rob, hasn't he? I know Rob was about 4 tenths, so it's currently 3 tenths to Carl Swift, who, like you said earlier, are teammates in their real-life motoring experiments. Because I know they do race. I know Rob races a lot, doesn't he? In sort of a TCR lay-on as well as the Civic Cup stuff.
Yes.
And I think we even saw him last year. Was it in a Citroen C1 in a 24-hour round?
Silverstone,
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, plenty. Rob's improved, by the way. A 25, first guy into the 25s.
And just again, I'm going to have a little look here. Where can I find it? I believe that should do the job. Oh, that is the if they were going to improve their I rating. I was just trying to display people's actual I ratings currently. Which obviously, if you're new to iRacing, once you're out of the rookie class, all official races in road and oval, but you have 2 separate licenses, your iRating is simply how quick you are. So, for example, we have Rob Baker at the top, 3,400, and we also have, I spotted someone else, Tom Metherell on 3,300. So you would suspect that these guys have obviously played the sim a little bit more, they're a bit more familiar with the physics, so you'd expect them to be towards the top. But obviously if a lot of these guys have sim experience, or if they have real life experience, it has been shown by some very famous drivers that you can pick up a sim quickly and be very competitive. So it's not everything, so don't read too much into it, but you will hear us mention that throughout the broadcasts.
Just like you mentioned, Tom. Has Tom just got into the session, or is he?
Yes, he went out, went back to the pits, and then has kind of head out again. So hopefully he'll back up my theory of iRacing, and will then show everyone exactly what I mean. Rob is on 2 purple sectors through sector 2, sector 3.
He's quickest, but he's going quickest still. Certainly making the full use of the track into the chicane, into this hairpin. It looks like the drivers are struggling more in these braking zones. Again, probably due to the heaviness of the car with the full fuel on board.
Yeah, absolutely. And managed not to snatch a break.
That last corner you mentioned, it's on the camber. The way it sort of rolls away from the apex of the corner. It just really, it's not pleasant.
Washes away. We haven't spoken about overtaking opportunities, which is notoriously difficult in these GT cars or GTE cars that I've found anyway through the VRS and sprint races that we've been doing. This is one, if you're brave.
Oh dear! What happened there? We heard the car spin in front of Rob, but I'm not sure who it was, but.
And he just reset just before, and that is probably the best example of netcode that I can give you.
What is netcode, Tom, for anyone that doesn't know?
What is netcode? So obviously, one of the great things with iRacing is hosted on their server. So unlike some internet games that join on the sort of the host of the session, we all join onto an iRacing server. We can be from all around the world, and so netcode is where the game thinks you are somewhere, but on your screen you aren't there. So you'll quite sadly often see a netcode incident where let's take Rob for example, on his screen he may make a really, really good move, kind of show the nose, stick out the inside, and makes a clean overtake. On the other person's screen, they will actually feel contact and be affected by that and be pushed wide, and that is nothing more than the internet effectively not like thinking where a car is and it's not. So we will try and point that out. It is something that every sim has their own sort of connection issues. It is something that for iRacing it does happen. In other sims, so sort of Assetto Corsa, they have this rubber banding effect where cars go forward and backwards. It's just something, it's a thing of the internet. It's like when you play a first-person shooter game and you get some lag or bullets appear to hit you. So it's just something that we do the best that we can, and it sometimes is a little bit unfortunate. It happens. I can describe it.
It does happen, we're not saying it's every lap or anything like that. It happens rarely, and it's when it does happen, you've kind of got to zoom in, haven't you, on the replay footage to say, oh yeah, it was netcode. Yes. It's just one of those things. But like you said, iRacing has their own servers. They're doing everything to limit that, but effectively it's down to the person's internet connection, and it happens.
Indeed.
Wonders of modern technology.
Indeed. So we've now got 13 cars out on track. That is, we'll call it 11 on track. We've got Mark and Anthony in the pits. And Rob's gone quicker again, down to 25.7. So he's starting to get himself dialed into the car. Carl Swift is off the track.
Oh, is that a big moment? Where is that? Is that down at the old hairpin on the... No, he's at the top of the...
Oh, he's just had a little... Not as big as I thought.
Almost caught it, and then it does look good, that livery. It almost caught it, and then it just snapped away from him. But Carl's second at the moment, and I think Carl's one of those. He's third. As soon as I say anything, the guys beat me to it. Let's change it around. Thanks, Adam Shepherd, for going second. Carl is one of the folks that I know is relatively new to sim racing. But he's actually showing, showing a good sort of a good time at this point. Only half a second behind Rob. Rob, myself, and you, Tom. We won the iRacing VLN the Nürburgring Nordschleife at the weekend. So
We
Rob,
did in our split. That was a tremendous effort. The racing gods were on our favour on that one.
I mean, we were in the BMW, not the M8, the Z4 GT3 class. That was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's Rob improved again. I think he's gone a tenth quicker this time around.
Yeah, he's dropped it down to a 25.7, so he's now opened up near half-second gap. But then we've got a really nice group. I mean, down to Tom Metherell in 9th. 1.2 between 9 drivers. That's fairly competitive. And especially from 5th to 9th, that's separated by 2/10. And it will the whole race, the 40-minute race, will all be about consistency.
I was just gonna,
together.
I was gonna say that so much of it is just the consistency, isn't it? Like we see, and like you said earlier, this track doesn't necessarily. I know there is opportunities to overtake, but it doesn't. You know, they're not that common in terms of they don't come around every other lap. As we see Tom Metherell, he's not getting to grips with this, is he? As there's been huge contact somewhere.
That's Mike going off. Here is the instant where Tom has just dropped it on the exit of turn 1. And so, I mean, what I'm trying to highlight by showing these replays, it is a tough track, it is a heavy car, and it's a narrow track. And it's quite easy to just overdo the limits slightly. And the grass in iRacing is very, very slick. And it's quite easy then to spin. So incidents are going to occur. It's who can limit those and who can do that across the championship that will put them in the best sort of stead. And just as I said that, I believe Luke had an incident, top of the hill. That's, I think, just him stopping. I'll let him off on that one.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, you're right. Just having a look, practice 50 minutes, so not too long left there. Is there a qualifying, or are we straight into a race?
We're straight into a race. So okay. I believe it will be a random grid. I think that is how iRacing works. When you don't have a qualifying, I think it will then makes it random. So that
will be interesting. And let's see what we can gain from that. Back on board with Rob going into the chicane. Very easy to lose the car there, and Rob didn't demonstrate it, thankfully. Into the
inside lot. No, lovely.
And the cars don't have ABS, but they do have full fuel, so it's quite tricky to get the car stopped actually, especially with as we just saw, a snag in front left.
On that horrible bit of camber that just falls away. You can see guys off in the background as well. I have noticed though, Rob is now sort of dialing in his consistency. So it was a 26.1 last time round. So getting his lap times down there now and keeping down there. Let's have a look. We've got Jack Grime off the track at turn 1, I believe that is. It is back safely. Who else have we got? Let's have a look at some drivers who we haven't had a look at so far. Connor Sheldon, that wasn't meant to be him off the track, but he is. That was out of the chicane. We obviously had that lap with, was it Mike? Yeah, it was Mike Moss that we went round with. Let's go to Anthony Mott, who I don't think I've given too much airtime to. Heading up, I believe, is this McLean's? I believe it is.
I think it is McLean's.
Trying to my track knowledge. That corner, can't remember the name of. Every other corner, I think. Oh, Anthony's had an interesting moment there where the car's just got away from him.
Yeah, some of the guys are, struggling. Not that they shouldn't. Who's that? Who's that behind without the front of the car? Is that Rob?
No, that is. Who is that?
Oh no, it's Rodron Vela
in the 89.
We were trying to work out what flag that was. International. It's just the international flag. Every country rolled into one.
Delightful.
Yeah. But I wonder if anyone's told him that he's got the entire front of his car more or less missing.
I don't think so.
Let's continue. Where is he? He's currently 11th, 3.5 seconds off the pace.
And so that could be graphical on our end, but
Could it be? Yeah.
It'll also, there will be some damage there, so that will be affecting him. Again, for those who may be brand new to sim racing or iRacing, yes, there is full simulation damage. You can completely write your car off. You can bend the steering wheel. You can break suspension. You can give yourself a puncture through too many lockups.
Oh dear.
So it's,
Oof, sorry.
no. So yeah, the guys do need to. Whoa, we got someone way off in the background. So you do need to look after your car. You can't just treat it like Mario Kart and just bump into each other.
And the new tyre model, Tom, as well, with the sort of locking up the brakes, will result in punctures.
Yes,
as well.
So it's all those things that we need to that the drivers need to consider. One thing that we haven't mentioned, I know you mentioned about the instanters. We've got a car way off out the chicane. Is how the instants are totted up. So you can, in iRacing, there are 3 ways that you can get instant points. You can get off track. So if you extend the track or cut the corner, you usually will pick up what we call a 1x. So you get 1 instant point. If you lose control of your car, that is a 2x. So if you spin, off the track, you'll get kind of 1 for the off track and then 1 for spinning. And then the really harsh stuff is the 4x. So that is car contact. Now there isn't a way that iRacing can, as we just see,
Rodrin getting a 2x.
Can work out who is at fault. It can't apportion blame. So both drivers will receive a 4x for heavy car contact. So if you just drive into the back of someone. And so obviously if you then acquire 5 of those, as I think that is Jack Rhyme in the 11 car, yes, flying off the road. If you acquire 5 of those, then I'm not sure if it is a drive-through or is it a straight disqualification, Mr. Salt?
In this league or in the...
in this series, yeah.
There is a 20 limit penalty. It will be a stop and go at a 20 incident limit.
And just like that, we're actually towards the end of the practice session. And
it was a busy session. We saw Rob, didn't we, on track? I think for the majority, everyone sort of seems to be putting laps together. Adam's clearly looking
that's a big off.
Demonstrate the limits of grip there. Where is that?
Down the hill.
Down the hill.
That's a big one. That is a big one. But
let's hope the guy's a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit tamer in the race.
And obviously there will be cold tyres at the start of the race.
Yes.
Another thing to combat. So there's all these factors that come into putting together a race. That's the end of practice, and Adam's just exploring the tyre barrier.
Yep, the wall's still there. Just checking.
And here we go.
That is practice over. So we've got Rob Baker was the standout there. I don't think the... oh, there we go.
Yep. It has...
Apparently I'm starting 6th, so there'll be a gap there, so ignore that. But Mike Moss will be on pole position. Adam Shepherd, I think we saw, was 3rd. David Buki, I don't think he's in the session either. So there's going to be a...
Oh, is it a standing start?
I don't really know. Martin Moore in 5th. Yeah. Me in 6th, even though I'm in the commentary box, so ignore that. Anthony Mott in 7th. Tom Metherell, Carl Swift, Christopher Paul, Rodrin Vella, Connor Sheldon in 12th. Does that mean Rob is at the very back? In 13th is Rob Baker, Jack Rhyme in 14th, Alex Kilner in 15th, Mark Burton in 16th. Let's go to the front of the pack. We're looking at Adam Shepherd as we've got the lights as they'll go red, and then we're looking for green, and they're away, and everyone gets away cleanly. A couple of slow movers, but everyone's away as they head down towards turn 1. Will we see a clean getaway? Adam Shepherd through safely. We've had a bit of contact as they were 3 wide at the back, and it's Connor Sheldon going very wide, and Martin Moore as well hitting the tyres as the guy goes down the hill. We've got a spinner into the old hairpin. Rob Baker has gone wide as well. Luke's had a fantastic start. He's in 4th position.
I mean, I don't even know who's where and how everyone's got there. But that was a chaotic start to begin with. Anthony has moved up 6 positions, I believe. Bear with me, our timing tower seems to be having a little bit of a meltdown. So we are just going to try to reload that. Mr. Salt.
No problem, as we watch Anthony Mott go into the chicane. Top 4 cars, all very close on track. Anthony slightly extending the gap there. And there we go, we've now got the timing board back, but we've lost the drivers. Where have the drivers gone, Tom?
I've got the drivers.
Oh, you do, you know. I don't. Have you loaded a new session? Oh, there we go. Anthony's back.
Superb.
So that's lap 1 complete. We had technical difficulties. I think a few of the guys did as well, but it's a practice session, so there's a lot to learn as we watch a brilliant move down the inside. Carl Swift on Adam Shepherd. Carl Swift now takes 2nd position with Shepherd directly behind him as they go down.
Here it is.
It was a late lunge, wasn't it?
Look at that. Got it stopped. Brilliant move.
Where is Rob Baker? Rob Baker's down in 6th. Rob was quickest in the practice session, so he's head down. Got 8 minutes left to get onto the back of these front 4 guys. They're separated by 4 seconds at the top. As we've got a car wide. Who's that coming back on track? I think that's Adam Shepherd. It is. So Adam was in 3rd now, back down in 6th position. Anthony Mott pulling it together and just having a great, clean start. He's not put a foot wrong yet. So he's doing a fantastic job out there with Carl Swift in 2nd. Going a little bit deep into the hairpin, and here comes Rob Baker. He's, as we said, he was quickest in practice, so I think he's got a point to prove if he can start from the back and finish this one towards the front. I think he'll be happy, and it's certainly going to send a message to the guys for this championship that starts on Wednesday. This very much a practice session. I'm sure we'll see Rob having a look down the inside here. And this is on Mark Burton. Mark covering off the line that Rob was thinking about as they head down the hill now. And I know Rob likes to make a pass into the old hairpin, not this time. And is that Luke in 3rd position that sort of slipped back? The guy,
yes.
I mean, this is a good little pack of cars now. Lap 3, only a 10-minute race, so very, very much a sprint race. And now we've got the long straight.
On the power earlier.
Not necessarily an overtaking opportunity coming up the hairpin, but certainly, sorry, the chicane, but then the hairpin following is as Rob steps out onto the inside, and that's I mean, again, every time I say something, the drivers completely prove me wrong, so good job, Rob. Great pass.
It's not Luke. It is, who is that? That is Mike Moss.
Oh, it's a back marker.
Car. Yes. I just recognised the livery. Rob will probably send us up the inside into Goddard's. There he goes. And Mike safely getting out the way to let the racers through. Adam Shepherd, we saw him having an off, chasing down Mark Burton. Rob setting a 27.4, so even with that traffic, he was one of the quickest guys on the track. We'll see what he can do next time around. Do you know if there's a fast repair, Mr. Sol?
I will have a look at the the rules now. Let me get back to you on that one. It doesn't have a mentions from what I've seen so far. No, I don't think there is a fast repair. Could be something to consider for the organisers, but I'm sure they'll make the decision. But like you said earlier, Tom, these cars have damage. It's a relatively accurate damage model. You can bend the steering, you can obviously get aero damage, which will slow you down on the straights. So,
oh, that's the bump on the inside, and Carl Swift, he was closing in for the race lead. Luckily, keeps it out the wall, and
I've done that many times myself.
Down to 6. So that gives Anthony, and there was a cracking little train here. So you got Mark up to 4th, Adam Shepherd trying to close him down. Rob has closed up to the back of Luke. Just going through your poor shot, but with over half the race gone, Anthony Mott leads across the line. And there's Rob 2 seconds quicker than Luke and Anthony, 1.5, 1.4 quicker than Anthony last time around. As we head down the hill, this is the closest battle. No, closest battle is off again. Let's have a look. Action replay. It's going to be down the hill. Oh, and maybe Mark didn't quite leave enough space on the inside. We'll have a look at that at the end of the race. We've now got Mark going side by side with Mike Moss. Rob has closed up to the back. He's just under half a second behind Luke, heading down towards the chicane.
We saw Rob make a move here a couple of laps ago, but I think he's going to be too far back this time, so it will... I mean, he gets a fantastic run out of there. We know Rob, and he's definitely going to have a look. He's pulling alongside into there, but he should be relatively straightforward. Luke's a little bit deeper on the brakes, aiming for the cut pack. That's a good exit for both of them. Can Luke switch it back to get the inside line into this awful hairpin at the end of the lap? Not this time. Thinking about the exit. It looks like Rob's got that move done, and I think, if anything, if Luke can stay on the back of Rob and hopefully challenge Anthony Mott, but 2.5 minutes to go.
So two more laps.
Yeah, complete this lap, and then the following one will be the white flag last lap.
So we'll keep an eye on Rob's progress, and it seems like everything else has kind of settled down now. Obviously, we've had people who've got damage early on, and without that fast repair, that is their race pretty much done, because the repair time is usually about 11 minutes at least if you get severe damage on the car. Rob has taken out, he set a purple sector 2. He's about 9/10 quicker already on this lap alone than Anthony. So Anthony, final lap, you're going to have to defend.
That gap is coming down. 1.4 was about 2.1 at the start of this lap, so he's so much quicker in the chicane, as we've seen. 1.2 now, so we are going to be in for a bit of a showdown on this last lap. Can Anthony Mott keep the position? He's led from the start, or will Rob Baker, who's come all the way from the back row of the grid, and he's avoided some first lap drama, and he's chasing down Anthony Mott as they are 1 second now. So Rob took a second out of him that last lap. And with 1 lap to go and 1 second gap, if he does the same again, this is going to go down to the... well, we're on the last lap now.
Yeah, it'll be into the probably into Melbourne hairpin. That's where it's going to be. I mean, Rob was off the track at the old hairpin first lap, so he's shown some really good pace here. Gap under a second now. Anthony, how's your nerve? I know it's just a practice race, but this will mean something. It will be a great confidence booster to be able to hold off a driver who's homing in on you. And here we go. We'll go on board with Rob because he takes so much more speed through the chicane. That's where he seems to gain most of his time. So here we go. On board, he's running slightly wide.
He is absolutely on the raggedy edge of the grip, and this M8 as they head into the chicane. And Rob, again, we see him carry so much more speed out of there, and he's going to go to the inside. Anthony, he's not got much of a defence so far. Can he get the cut back? as it looks like Rob's probably got that move done, unless we see Anthony send it down the inside of this last corner. He's having a look. Is he there?
No.
He's not there, as Rob comes from the back to get the move done on the second to last corner to win this practice race with a personal best of 25.747. Class of the field there. And anyone else that's watching this, that's racing on Wednesday, take note of that, because we think Rob's going to be, well, he's going to be quick, if not quicker, on Wednesday. So plenty of practice to do, guys. Anthony Mott takes second position. Strong performance from Luke and Carl Swift take third and fourth. Mark Burton in fifth. Adam Shepherd, sixth position. Connor Sheldon recovers to seventh position. We saw Connor started higher up than that. Where did Connor start, in fact? Oh no, we saw Connor off, I think, at turn one, but recovers to seventh. And then Jack Grime, Alex Neller, last two on the lead lap. We're still watching Alex. Is that the same livery in front of the of Jack Grimes' car as well? No, it's
not quite.
No, not quite. So it's Alex Neller taking ninth place. That was an exciting race, Tom. It was 10 minutes of...
Yeah.
Yeah, it was good.
We'll go back. We'll have a look. Hopefully, this should
work.
Bear with me.
This is the bit, isn't it, where we often run into technical
This was the bit.
difficulties. Trying to get this sort of... I mean, we obviously know the finishing results on the left-hand side, but it's... The software often, or sometimes, gives us a good rundown. And then we'll sort of dive into some sort of footage from the race. Usually crashes, to be fair. We've done it. You've done it, Tom. Whatever you did, you've done it.
Yes!
Well done.
Look at that!
Rob Baker, as we saw, came from the back. He wins the race. Fantastic race from him. Still managed to pick up a bit of contact, but yeah, strong performance from him. Anthony Mott in second. Luke Sedowski in third position. Carl Swift and Mark Burton take fourth and fifth. Adam Shepherd in sixth. Connor Sheldon seventh. Jack Grime, Alex Neller, and Mike Moss take 8, 9, and 10. Rodran Vella, Christopher Paul, Martin Moore, Tom Meverell, Dave Buki, and myself, who obviously didn't race. And nor will I be on Wednesday, unfortunately, but you will be joined by myself and Tom again in the commentary box. But that's practice over. That's a 10-minute sprint race at the end to finish. It's going to be an exciting league, Tom. We've got 5 rounds. We mentioned the format as well. I'm just going to dig into now. Here we go. Yeah, 5 rounds. We've got Donington Park on Wednesday, and then we're at Spa. We're at Silverstone, Alton Park, and Snetterton for round 5. As we watch some replays. That was Mike Moss, wasn't it?
That was Mike. So we're just going to have a look as I... so obviously, as I reloaded the
software,
the timing tower. So we've lost round the beginning, but we'll have that sorted. So let's have a look. We have Rob Baker passing Adam Shepherd, but I feel Adam's going to be off the track here.
Yeah, I remember seeing this. I know Adam had a pretty scruffy lap that time. I think he lost that position, didn't we? And then later around the lap, we saw him off wide there at McLean's.
Here we go. That's the spin for Carl.
But if you actually go back on that, Tom, you just rewind, sort of aggressively turning in. Look at how much, the car just bites, doesn't it, with the steering angle. Yeah, that curb just sends people. I mean, me included. I've certainly done the same as Carl. Luckily, didn't hit anything and continued. He went on to finish 4th position.
Got Alex Kilner down the hill.
And I presume this is just a loss of aero, isn't it, on the back end? Oh, it got away from him, and it snapped.
Well done for keeping out the wall. I don't know if there was a lot of skill or luck, but that is good to see that he didn't career in. And then there should be, here it is. We'll put it in slow motion for him. He'll enjoy this. Rob Bakey got the run through the chicane. And Anthony just needs to cover that inside. Cover it a little bit more aggressively early on if you know you're going to be slow. Because it's hard to get around the outside through the around these hairpins. So if you're strategic and just place the car on the inside, it can be very difficult to pass. But a good fun race. Hopefully the drivers will enjoy watching that back, and hopefully all you viewers did. And it should be more of the same, but longer on Wednesday.
Rob was quite dominant in that one, Tom. I think for me, we saw so much more speed coming out of the chicane. So I'm just thinking if you were one of the drivers and wanting to get onto the onto that pace that Rob was demonstrating. Obviously, there's time all around the track, but I think for me, the big gainer from Rob's perspective seemed to be coming out of that chicane, out of the chicane. Sorry.
He had so much more speed, yeah, on exit that it was almost that they couldn't swerve to cover because he just took so much more speed and had so much more confidence in the car. On that run down towards the hairpin. But yeah, there, and probably I'd imagine old hairpin as well. It's a corner that if you can get right, you can carry so much speed through. So areas for people to work on, but they do have another day to go through and improve.
Indeed. So we will be back on Wednesday for the first round in this league. It's going to be obviously at Donington Park. The race starts, I believe, at 8 o'clock, or the sort of session starts at 8 o'clock on Wednesday. So we'll be setting that stream up shortly. So until then, we'll see you on Wednesday for this round one race in the Tegiwa M8 GTE Championship. Tom, thanks for joining me as usual. I think we've got everything out of that we needed to as well. We got the finishing results as well, Tom, which is good on the screen. But until then. As you've shown us there, Tom. Thanks for that. But yeah, until then, we'll see you on Wednesday. Keep practicing and have a good week. See you then.